This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Brueski.
We are talking again today with Eric Bland, the attorney for many of the victims of Alex Murdaugh, but specifically we're talking about this representation of Stephen Smith's mother, Sandy Smith. Of course, Stephen Smith, the young man who was murdered in the middle of the road several years ago. There's, of course, been rumblings of possible connections with the Murdaughs over the years, and it's really that. It's been rumblings. There's been no charges ever made against any of the Murdaughs, but it's been a curious case. Very close to another very curious case. And it's always interesting to get the latest and your perspective on where things are at in this very sad story where a mom is simply trying to get justice for her son where it was not given to begin with. And unfortunately, it took the murder of Maggie and Paul for the ball to really kind of get into motion here. Can you give us an update on where things are at right now with the investigation into the murder of Stephen Smith, Eric?
Right. And I have not heard a whole lot until recently. I spoke with Chief Mark Keel, who's the head of our SLED, 2 weeks ago. And what he told me is the following. The investigation is very much alive. The grand jury is not impaneled any longer, but the investigation is very much alive. And there's a number of issues that he has tasked his officers to get answers on. Now, what he did tell me is because of all of Alex's shenanigans regarding the new jury trial issues and trying to recuse Judge Newman and then saying that he couldn't get a fair and impartial jury in the Satterfield financial crime case at Beaufort, it diverted the officers. And the officers that were assigned to Tony's case got redeployed again. To Stephen's case, got redeployed back to Alex. And he said, now that Alex has pled guilty, we're going to refocus back on Stephen's case. Now, it's interesting to me that, the Murdaugh name is all over that file. Mm-hmm. The file that was released in 2021 makes a reference to the Murdaughs over 41 times. Do I have any evidence that the Murdaughs had anything to do with Stephen's death? No, I don't. But there is a conflict between what Sandy says. She says she saw Alex Murdaugh there and his brother Randy the following morning after Stephen's death. She saw him at the accident scene.
Yeah.
Randy says, I was there, but I wasn't there with Alex. I was there with an investigator. And it was a couple days thereafter, not the next morning. And I was there at the request of your ex-husband, Joel. So that's got to be worked out. Somebody's going to have to figure out who's telling the truth there. SLED will figure that out. The other thing is there's evidence on Stephen's tablet and Stephen's phone. I believe I've been told that they broke the phone. They were able to break the code. It took a long time to break the code on the tablet. I don't know if it's been broken. I am told by others that it has, but SLED has not confirmed it. But according to Sandy, Stephen did a lot of his communication on his, dalliances and his affairs and relationships on his tablet. So that may yield some information. You saw the documentary When Buster Spoke, his one and only time. They asked him, did you kill Stephen Smith? He said no. I believe him. They said, did you have a physical, personal relationship with him? He said no. He was somebody I went to school with, but we never were, physical with each other.
Sure.
The third question that should have been asked that wasn't asked is, do you have any information what happened to Stephen? Mm-hmm. And I think SLED's going to want to ask that of Buster. Do you have any knowledge of what may have happened to Stephen? And that's a logical question to ask.
Sure.
And that's never been asked, nor has he answered that question. I would like to get an answer to that question. So I remain optimistic. Chief Keel just retired today, but he's going to get rehired in 30 days. There's a little quirk in the law that you can retire and collect your retirement and then come back to work and then get your salary and you're double dipping. So he's going to have to sit on the sidelines for 30 days. So I won't be able to talk to him probably for 30 days. Sandy doesn't want blood. She's not looking for somebody to, be convicted of murder. What she's looking for are answers.
Sure.
That's all a mother wants. You
Yeah.
know, we're talking about 8 years from 2015, and she deserves answers. You know, that's something that she deserves. At a minimum, you know, somebody did something to Stephen and left the scene of an accident. Nobody did something to Stephen and didn't realize they didn't do it. It wasn't a hit and run. There's not any broken glass, broken mirrors, or, you know, part of a car, part of a bumper. Stephen's sneakers weren't blown off, you know, no broken bones on his lower limbs or his hips, which you would expect if you were hit by a bumper of a car. He has a tremendous fractures throughout his head. He has a little bit of road rash, but his clothes weren't ripped.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you would expect if somebody was really hit hard
Sure.
and then flown and tumbled on a thing. So, you know, we've done a second autopsy. It does indicate that he did suffer blunt trauma to the head. It wasn't something like a baseball bat, we are now told, or a pipe, because it wasn't concave.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a spider fracture. So if I hit you, God forbid, over the head with a pipe, there would be, you know, some kind of indentation, I would think, on your skull.
Sure.
There wasn't. So, you know, people that have a higher pay grade and more medical knowledge than me are going to have to figure this out. But I think we're closer than we ever have been to getting answers, let's say.
Well, let's hope that we do get some answers and that she can get some resolution and hopefully some peace for her son that was tragically murdered that day. Eric Bland, thank you so much for coming on and updating us on all of this
I'm just
madness.
really honored that you had me. Anytime, have me on, and I hope you feel better, Tony. You're a good man.
Thank you, Eric.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts,
You get every episode commercial free.
so you can binge on true crime
Until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.